Bora Boye. So I just have wrapped up um, the finishing touches on my most recent class, Obatala, Four Paths to Equanimity, and an interesting byproduct of the class was the publication of another book, and this is significant for one really very important, powerful reason. Um, my initial intention was to compile a reader, you know, and just make it available online. But in the process of examining the different articles that I wanted to put together for the class and giving thought to the amount of annotation and bridging I'd have to do between the different works of art, well, it ended up being another book. It's a small book, it's a booklet, but still, it just, there's so much notes and so much explanation that was necessary that I decided to make another book. And the reason why I'm bringing this into the conversation right now is because we don't realize the extent to which our perspective on Orisa lifestyle has been influenced and really skewed by the I guess we could call the historiography of the study, right? The earliest writers about Orisa lifestyle were anthropologists, they were sociologists, they were Christian missionaries. Very few, very few actual priests and people who were steeped in the theological and philosophical frameworks of Orisa lifestyle wrote anything until very recent, and even now, our representation is relatively small, right? So the colonial machinery of intelligentsia, the anthropologists and these kind of things, they have an agenda. They have always had an agenda, and so we look at great things like what Bascom wrote. Well, Bascom was a sociologist. He wasn't just writing out of personal interest. He had to go and write for his university for a specific purpose. Even some of the great books that were like Ido Wu's book and Crowther's book, these books, they had to be published in England, right? And these guys were in the throes of colonial, control. So they had to put their manuscript on a boat and ship it to England, and then have the English edit it and finalize it and type it up and print it. Do you think the English just wrote verbatim everything that they said the way that they said it? No, they had to skew it to fit the colonial narrative. So some of the things that we're accustomed to and we've accepted as the reality are a little bit influenced, and sometimes a lot influenced, by the colonial attitudes and agendas. And so it's important that we, of this particular generation, make it a point to go directly to the source and ask the people themselves, what things are about. And more importantly, that we gather the information and responsibly, and then report the information with an agenda that supports our own needs, our own psychology, something that's going to be fitting and suitable to our ancestral lineage in our memory, right? So much of what goes on in the representation of things today is just blank. It doesn't have any sense of purpose. It doesn't have a like how many times can you hear someone just say Eshu's colors are red and black, his number is 3, he's tricky, and Ogun is wears red, and Ogun is an aggressive person. Ogun uses tools. Shango, right? How many times can you reiterate those same, just sort of anthropological or sociological frames? What do these divinities mean really in the minds and the hearts of the people? What do they mean to the economy of Yoruba land? What have they meant to the inner workings of the civilization, right? These are the questions that we also need to be asking, and we need to be figuring out ways to answer them in terms of our needs as African people in the world today. And so that is what has driven me to write this booklet of Obatala, Four Paths to Equanimity. Because if nothing else, I want to be able to say that Orisa, the great divinity, is one who has a huge contribution to our stability and our ability to maintain a level of poise and composure and regal presence, even in the face of dramatic persecution. It's Obatala who shows us the way to uphold ourselves in a very very stable and mature fashion, right? And so that kind of poise and position is what will allow you to maintain a kind of regal presence and an authoritative position in every circumstance, and allow you to see over and above and through the circumstances that might face you from day to day or week to week or year to year with a greater vision. So I hope that you'll check out that that volume, and if you haven't enrolled for the class yet, I encourage you to do so. Aboraboye, Boshishe.